Recent data from a 96,000-person study shows dropping risk for conditions like dementia and arthritis doesn't require hours of grinding on a treadmill. The science shows you actually only need about 15 to 20 minutes of specific intense exercise a week to trigger these protective benefits. It all comes down to hitting a specific threshold of cardiovascular effort. We're going to map out exactly how to reach that state safely through a routine we'll call the Breathless protocol. Because this routine asks your cardiovascular system to work hard, get medical clearance from your doctor before starting, especially if you're older or managing existing joint and heart conditions. While any movement is beneficial, the specific defenses that protect your brain and joints only activate once you cross a specific intensity threshold. This illustration demonstrates how to measure that intensity using the talk test without needing a smartwatch. When you do moderate exercise, you can comfortably speak a full sentence. Vigorous exercise means you are breathing too heavily to say more than a few words at a time. As we see in this diagram, getting into that breathless state forces your cardiovascular system to adapt. Your heart pumps more efficiently, and your blood vessels physically expand to allow a higher volume of oxygen to flow. This intense exertion stimulates the production of chemicals that nourish brain cells and keep them resilient. When researchers tracked 96,000 people over 7 years, those who reached these vigorous levels saw a 63% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those who stayed at lower intensities. At the exact same time, the effort suppresses systemic inflammation. For conditions driven by inflamed tissues, like arthritis and psoriasis, this intense exertion acts as a highly effective management tool. Getting out of breath is doing real mechanical work. It forces the body to deploy biochemical defenses that lower intensity exercise simply cannot trigger. The problem is that most people try to achieve this intensity by suddenly sprinting. Pounding the pavement creates massive shockwaves through your joints, which can easily damage your knees or aggravate the exact arthritis you're trying to prevent. To safely hit the breathless state, you need to swap the pavement for a low-impact engine. You have a few excellent options. Brisk uphill walking safely drives up your heart rate. An elliptical machine protects your knees, and stationary bikes remove ground impact entirely. Selecting a tool that spares your joints means you can comfortably stick to the routine week after week without pain. Once you have your machine, you have to use it correctly. Proper form builds a layer of kinetic armor to protect your body as you increase the effort. If you choose the hill walk, lean slightly forward into the incline. When you come back down, use trekking poles to absorb the downward shock and spare your knees. On the elliptical, focus on pushing the pedals through your heels. This adjustment forces your glutes to do the heavy lifting and takes the shear stress off your knee joints. For the rower, the sequence is critical. Drive the power backward with your legs first, and only pull with your arms once your knees are straight. Applying maximum effort is only medically useful if your structural foundations, your hips, knees, and ankles, are fully protected from the stress. This calendar grid maps out your weekly target. Your goal is to accumulate a total of exactly 15 to 20 minutes of breathless exertion across a 7-day window. Do not try to hit all 15 minutes your first time out. Spend your first 4 weeks slowly building your base endurance at a moderate pace, allowing your muscles and tendons to safely adapt. Once you're ready to add intensity, select exactly 3 days out of the week to do your routine, leaving rest days in between. During a standard 20-minute session on those days, you will insert 3 separate 2-minute bursts of maximum effort. In practice, this means taking long, fast strides up a steep incline, or cranking the resistance dial high enough that speaking becomes difficult. After each 2-minute push, immediately drop back down to a very slow, easy pace. Let your breathing fully recover before starting the next burst. Breaking the work into short intervals turns an exhausting, intimidating session into a precise, achievable dose of preventative medicine. You now have a science-backed, joint-safe blueprint to actively defend your body. By forcing yourself to breathe heavily for just a few minutes a day, you change the way your blood vessels and brain cells operate, specifically lowering the risk of the 8 major diseases identified in the study. Take a screenshot of this routine template. Pick the low-impact machine that works best for your body, and schedule your first interval session for tomorrow. Reducing your risk for chronic disease isn't about the total amount of time you spend moving, but the targeted intensity you apply to those minutes.